Awesome, guys. How are we doing? Hope you're really good. I'm really excited to invite my old mate, Pamela Langan, to the party. How are you, Pam?
I'm good, thank you.
So Pam is one of our live Rise to Thrive speakers, which is happening on the 26th of November. Pam is Pam, you, in a 2-minute bio, tell everybody what you are.
Okay, I am a career coach and a job search coach, and I basically help ambitious professionals that are usually quite frustrated when they come and work with me find a fulfilling job role that pays them the salary they deserve, and I work with them throughout their whole career. So it's not just like one job, it's like the next job and the next job until they reach that ultimate, career goal. And they're getting paid the big money, and with whatever job title, it could be the big job title, it could just be the job that makes them happy, the job that gives them the work-life balance, but it's about understanding that and starting to work on their terms. So that's what I am all about.
I love that. That's great. And that's a great introduction. So guys, if any of you are coming through, please do let us know by hitting the love heart button. So obviously we're sitting here, it's very difficult to know who's engaging sometimes because it's not quite showing us who's here. So if you are coming through, and please do comment that you're here watching us. If you have any questions for Pam, this is going to be about a 20-minute just little tease about what Pam is going to be talking about when she comes up to do her coaching for everybody. And like, I've known Pam 2 years, longer maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
3 years, 3 years.
So and you've helped, and you are actually in our brotherhood. You're in our elite brotherhood, and you do your weekly article. And I know you've worked with a lot of our guys, right? Pam, what got you into this? How did you fall into this job?
So, I didn't actually, I suppose I did fall into it in a way, but what I teach is basically what I did in my own career. So using all of the techniques that I learned to progress my career. So I was able to hit like senior management at 25. And from that point on, for me, it was like, right, okay, I've kind of reached that, the where I wanted to be. That was like the ultimate goal. Fast tracked, through that 100% success rate in interviews. And then when I got to that point, it was like, right, okay, now it's about finding the job that makes me feel happy, that makes me feel fulfilled. And I basically, within the job roles that I was doing, I started like unknowingly really coaching people at the start. And then when I was in, a senior management position, it was about developing my team. So everybody that came to work with me would then move on, would stay within the company, would, move up the ladder. And that was really rewarding for me, because that for me was like, if you come into my team and I can develop you to move to the next level, then, that shows that I'm doing my job, that I'm leading in the right way, because I'm developing and retaining talent within the business. So it started there really. And then more and more people started asking me, like, how did you do it? You helped my friend, my family member, to progress. Can you help me? And then all of these referrals just started coming in, and I started working with people. And before I knew it, it was like, almost like an official side hustle. It was like I was working every day, like Monday to Friday, and then I was working with different clients, after work at the weekends and stuff. And then when I went on maternity leave, the plan was to not go back, basically to set it up as a full-blown coaching business, which I did. And it basically just went from strength to strength, all based on referrals at the start, because I wasn't online, didn't know how to get online, how to be a business owner online. And then obviously then thought, well, maybe I need to look at LinkedIn, maybe I need to do all of these things. So then using all of those things, then, moved into the online space. And, it's been amazing because I can work with so many more people over Zoom. I can reach more people, I can make an impact for more people. So kind of, it was almost like, it was like a natural move into it. It was, obviously it was deliberate, after I finish maternity leave, then I'm going to look at doing it full time. But up until that point, it was like these people just kept, you know, coming through referrals, and I kept helping them, and they kept moving on and referring me to more people. So yeah, it just escalated. Here I am.
Isn't it? So did you, what do you find are, if I asked you what the biggest two problems that most guys come up against in their career?
Yeah.
Like based on your experience, what would you say the two biggest standout problems are?
So the two biggest problems, so let's start with number one. So number one is that most guys that I work with are in jobs that they don't love, that are not fulfilling, that are not doing anything for them, but because they're the main breadwinner, or they feel like they have to be the person who is earning the most money and making the most career progress, they get stuck in jobs that just don't really light them up. So they start, you know, getting into this cycle of going to work, going through the motions, but it never ever feels right for them. It never ever really kind of feels fulfilling. And, you know, for some of them, they'll get paid great salaries, but the money doesn't always make them happy. So that, you know, that's the first biggest thing, you know, being stuck in a job that just doesn't light you up. And then I think
before you go on to that second one, just on that first one, how do you think we fall into that job that we don't like? So like, I work with a lot of guys. Let me give you an example. So all of a sudden we go through our 20s, right? Yeah. We then suddenly meet then the girls of their dream. They then suddenly get married. They then suddenly have a mortgage. They then suddenly have a job. A kid, not a job. And then they're suddenly stuck in a job that they never thought that they were going to end up in. Is that kind of a timeline or a funnel that lads fall into?
Yeah, I think that happens a lot, and it's because people let their careers happen to them rather than taking ownership of their career. So what will happen is, there isn't many people who have, you know, a career plan, and a career plan, you know, it doesn't have to be like the next 10, 20 years of your career. It can literally just be the next, you know, 1, 2, 3 years ahead, but just something that you're always working towards. But what happens with most people is that, and especially guys, they will get, you know, they'll start down a path, they'll do well. Somebody will say to them, what about this role? Or what about that role? Or they'll get fed up in a role, and they'll start, you know, they'll just go online and start thinking about just like jumping ship because they've had enough, and then they'll take another job without ever really looking at, does this align with me? And, you know, things like, does it align with my values? Does it align with actually, you know, where I want to be? Does it align with my family life? And they'll just keep jumping through, you know, different jobs, and, you know, at some point they kind of go, what am I doing? What have I been doing? And when they get to that point, most of them feel stuck and they don't know what to do.
Do you think though that a lot of guys feel like, do you think a lot of guys, when they think about their career, it almost feels impossible to change that job, right? So like if you're stuck in it's easy for us to talk about this, and I know what people will be thinking, and I was like, it's easy to say I want to change my job, right? But if someone's been stuck in their job for 10 years and they're 44 years old and they feel they haven't got skills and they feel they haven't got anything, it can be like very difficult to overcome those obstacles or those self-limiting beliefs, and they kind of go, well, I'm done and dusted. This is me stuck in this job for 16 years, right? So so basically you're saying, don't think about the next 16 years. Just think about actually, where could you be in a year from now, or 6 months from now, or 3 months from now?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Because, you know, if looking ahead that far is too much, then why look that far ahead? Just look at what feels achievable to you. And if you're looking at, you know, if you're in a really bad situation now and you're hating going to work and you feel like you're letting your family down, and, you know, you're feeling, you know, really bad about yourself, and, you know, maybe you're suffering from imposter syndrome, maybe you feel like you've got no confidence left, and you know, all of that stuff, you know, has an effect on you. But actually, you know, if you put all of that stuff to one side and you just start taking action every single day to move towards, you know, something better, you might not know what it is, but if you're taking that action every day, then what you'll find is all of a sudden that confidence will come, that fulfillment will start kicking in, it'll change your family life because you'll start feeling better about the situation. Everything has a knock-on effect. But so many people just think, I'm stuck, I can't do anything about this now. Almost like, I've made my bed, I've got to lie in it. And it's not true, because it doesn't matter how old you are. Like, I've worked with a few guys this year who retired and decided that retirement was not for them. One of the guys was like 68, he was going to be 69, within a couple of months, helped him get back into work, and not just to any job, like to a job where he felt like he could really add value, make an impact. They were happy to have him and his experience. And it was just about how he positioned himself in the market, because, if you don't position yourself right, then you just reduce the opportunities. If you can position yourself right and show people what you can bring to the table, what you can deliver, what you've delivered in the past, what expertise you can bring to their company to help them grow in some way. It makes such a difference, and it is about positioning.
Okay, so there's a couple of guys saying this is exactly how I'm feeling now. So guys, if you're watching this and you resonate with this, then please do let us know in the comments. If you've got any questions that you feel like you might want to ask Pam, just keep it short and brief and to the point. Please do just ask us here right now. This is a great opportunity. If you're coming up to the seminar on the 26th, I think you're going to be there for questions. I think you're there the day for us, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll be there all day.
All day. So you'll be able to connect with Pam as well. Would you call this career jail, what we're talking about?
Yeah, 100%. It's career jail, isn't it? Because you're stuck in it, aren't you? There's there's no getting out.
I was just saying, I messaged Pam at 5 and she went, I can't wait. And I went, I'm not sure I'm going to survive because I feel like I'm in parent jail right now. So there's always a different jail, right? Whether it's parent jail, whether the kids are holding you hostage over dinner, or whether it's career jail. But it's the same thing. It's feeling entrapped, isn't it? And it's a mindset. It's a belief system, right? Which I know you do really well. So we diverted there a second. What would you say that the second biggest problem is that guys are facing, when it comes to their careers?
So I think, the second biggest problem is just not being able to focus on what they want for themselves, because there's too many other factors going on for them. So, you kind of think about, well, I need to do this for somebody. I need to do this for whatever reason. They never, ever really, think about what they want. And it's almost like I did a poll recently on LinkedIn asking men specifically, what holds you back from going for a new job? And what all of them came back and said, so if they're not happy in a new job, what stops you from, from looking around? And all of them said the fear of the unknown. And that is an absolute killer for loads of people, because, and, not just for men, but for people generally, because if you are scared of what is out there, will the grass be greener on the other side? People say often the grass isn't greener on the other side, but you don't know until you get over there. But if it's not, it doesn't matter, because if you've got the skills to secure that new position, then you can secure as many other new positions as you want. So, that fear of the unknown is that keeps you in career jail, because you think, okay, well, if it doesn't work out, I'm going to be stuck. How will I pay my mortgage? Well, how did you get that new job in the first place? You follow exactly the same process. If it didn't feel right, if it didn't feel like it worked for you, then change it, do something differently, speak to more recruiters. It's always easier to get a job when you're in a job, because you haven't got as much pressure, even if you're in a bad situation. But that fear of the unknown can really be stamped out by creating a plan, creating the right job search strategy, and creating a habit where you are not going to stay in a situation that you don't love, that you are going to make a change because it matters to you, not because it matters to other people. And by creating that that strategy, it doesn't matter whether you get made redundant, whether you whether you don't like the job, whether you move and you think this is 10 times worse, it can happen. I'm not going to sit here and say, every time you move jobs, you're going to, it's going to get better and better and better. Sometimes you might find, actually, this is not what I wanted, but you've got the skills because you've just secured that job. So you've just been through an interview process. You've just, developed relationships with a whole range of people. You've applied for jobs, you've tailored your CV and all of that kind of stuff. So, you can do it. It doesn't matter. So it's like that fear of the unknown really stops men particularly moving forward.
It is fair, isn't it? I mean, we've spoken about this an awful lot, and I think it's not just so what I find baffling is that we spend the majority of our time at work, right? So if we are in a career that we're unhappy in, that almost feels like if I'm 40 years old and I don't know what retirement age is now, 66 maybe, I don't know, 66, 68, something like that.
Yeah.
That's like saying that we're going to spend the next 28 years, like when we have that narrow mind and we don't have that vision, I'm going to sit here for the next 28 years and be miserable. Like I remember being, when I left the military and I was sitting at the college and I was a lecturer before I started all of the entrepreneurship, and I sat there and went, this can't be it for the next 30 years. I literally remember saying that, and I had these visions of setting up my first business, and I went a year earlier than I expected, and I had like no money. I had big money problems then, huge money problems, and just trusting the process and going for it. And it's such a change of belief system, which I think which is what you do incredibly well. So there's a couple of questions, Pam. Let's smash these out.
Okay.
So does it need to vein? Okay, 100% where I'm at. I can't make seminar, regrettably. If I can't better what I'm doing, how do I start a new career? And I need to maintain what I'm earning. So if I can't better what I'm doing, how do I start a new career? And I need to maintain what I'm earning. So basically, I think you're saying change a new career and keep that same amount of money coming in.
Okay, so I think with this, so this comes up lots of times, like just, this, you're not on your own feeling like, I'm in a situation where I feel like I need to change career. Now, for me, the career is your whole working life. So your career is like, from when you start working to when you retire. And within that career, there's a series of jobs that you'll have within different industries, doing different things at different levels. So what I've found is the first thing I say to people when they say, I want to change career, I say to them, what is going on for you right now? So usually when they want to change career, there's something that they're not happy with in their current position. Sometimes it's a person issue, maybe it's a bad manager. Sometimes they've got to the point where they feel really unfulfilled. Sometimes, it could just be that, it's just not stimulating enough, or they've realized that, the path that they've gone down isn't right for them. So what you need to do in this situation is, before you start thinking of a new career or, what you can do better, is what is going on for me right now that is making me feel like it's time to jump ship. Because if you start looking at what's going on for you right now, just get a blank piece of paper, right at the top, what is going on for me right now, career wise, and write it down. Everything that comes into your brain, write it down, get it on the paper. And once it's on the paper, then you can start deciding, is it a new career that you actually want? Is it a different career path? Or actually, is it just a different job? And what do you need to feel from that job? Now, usually you'll be, you could have written down that you've got an awful manager, or maybe you've got a really nice manager, but they're just not giving any direction. You can't learn anything from them. You've hit a ceiling point in your job. So for me, when people say that to me, I say, right, okay, so what does a promotion look like for you right now? So rather than taking, a completely different career direction, what could you do, in order to get yourself out of this situation without, needing to make a drastic change? Because when you make a career change, it's possible. You can draw on all your transferable skills, and a lot of the time you can maintain the same salary that you're on, but you don't want to jump until you've explored all your options and you've really kind of got under the skin of what's going on for you as to why you're hating that job right now, or why you feel it's time to make that drastic change.
Okay. Because it is a big change, right? And I think it's important to understand we don't go from an awful position to another awful position. So we want to make sure, and I guess it highlights what we do well, right?
Yeah, and I think it's so important to kind of get under the skin of what's going on. You know, when you're in a situation, and it doesn't matter whether it's career or life, if you're in a situation that is not comfortable, that you're not happy with, that's not making you feel fulfilled, you know, most people will just start looking around for something that will make them feel happy. And it's almost like, like when kids eat sweets, you get that sugar high, you move and you get that quick feeling of, wow, I've succeeded, I've got the job. And then you start working in it and you're like, this is not what I expected. It was better. I was better off where it was. So that's why.
So many times, Pam, like so many guys have said that to me.
Yeah.
But we have that. That's a thing in everything, isn't it? It's like a relationship. You think, oh, this person is going to be better than the person. Like you just, I think sometimes we do stuff without and I think it's really great advice, because instead of acting impulsively and straight away, we're thinking about it, aren't we? Right. Let's push through these ones as well. How long should you stay in a job before it's classed as a career, Jael?
Well, that just really depends on the person, but for me, you stay in that job as long as you need to learn what you need to learn in order to take the next step. Okay, so that could be, the next step, at that point could be a promotion, but it could also be a sideways move that gives you a slightly different element of a job. It doesn't always, some people don't want to be leaders and they're not natural leaders and they feel like, a leadership or a management position isn't for them. So when you move up, you will, automatically gain more responsibility. You'll get a team and stuff. So you should stay in a job as long as you need to learn what you need to do to make the next move, depending on what your career goal is. Sorry?
I think if you're going home and you're feeling like a prisoner in your own job, I think it could be really quick, doesn't it? It could be really quick, Cool. All right, Scott, I love my job and the company I work for, but quite frankly, I want to progress up the ladder, but I'm slightly nervous asking for more money and a promotion despite the value I add to the company. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Okay, so first of all, I'd be like, if you and my clients, I'd say, well, what is making you feel nervous? What is it? And again, it's like that, writing it down on a piece of paper. Like, what is it that's making you feel nervous? Is it because you don't like having difficult conversations? Is it because deep down you don't feel like you're worth that extra money? That comes up a lot for people. So what I would advise in that situation is to write down everything that you do really well and everything that you can bring to a promotion, and also look at the job description for that next step up, and really be honest with yourself and ask yourself, is this something that I can step into? And if you can demonstrate, if you can get it straight in your mind what you're going to bring to that role, and you can demonstrate it to your manager, then you're going to be able to give them a better pitch as to why they should give you that promotion or pay rise. But for lots of people, moving out of a company is usually the easiest way to get a promotion and a pay rise, because at the moment especially, companies are finding it really difficult to give pay rises with the current economic situation. But if that it's time and you've got the skills and experience, then there's no harm in going for a few interviews outside of the company to see what's out there. But you should always, if you think there is scope for a pay rise, you should always create your case and state your case and ask for the pay rise.
And I'll also add my 2 cents, is that also think about the byproduct of being promoted and the time it takes you away from the people that you love the most. Because as soon as you're getting more money, as soon as you have more responsibility, they want more from you, and that could then affect your quality of life. So you've got to weigh up, do I need more money, or do I feel like my ego wants me to be up that ladder, or actually am I happy with the work-life balance I've got right now? And I think that's also really fundamental.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, because for me, finding more fulfillment in my career when I was back in the corporate world was moving away from managing a team. So I was able to get a pay rise and a promotion and lose the team. by moving into a different type of role. So that's always an option as well. You know, you can look at what you do want to do and what you don't want to do, and how that would affect your work-life balance, and you can make changes based on, you know, on the criteria that is really important to you as well.
100%, you know. And I mean, I base the growth of the man coach around the life that I want to live. Like, I could do it now for 20 hours a week, right? But do I get to see my 1-year-old or 5-year-old? And it's like, and then you just ask yourself, do you need that right now? And so I think you have to think of your lifestyle and the quality of time where your kids are at. There's lots to think about, which, you know, you've done really well. So John, I'm a scaffolder by trade, but I've always suffered from imposter syndrome. I love talking to people, and I always think that I've been able to do more, but I've just fallen into the job because it's good money. I feel as though my confidence has taken a massive hit through the years.
That's a good question. That's something that comes up with like loads of people, because everyone thinks that they need confidence to move forward. Everyone thinks that, you know, if I've got to wait until I've got the confidence before I can make the move, you know, I've got to wait until that imposter stops popping in to tell me that I'm not good enough or it's not the right time. But I just say, well, what if you put all that to one side and you just start taking the action towards what you want to achieve? You know, what difference will that make? And, you know, for most people, it's almost like they just need that permission to stop worrying about confidence and to stop worrying about, you know, the imposter popping in, and just be like, right, okay, let's just make it a little bit more simpler. Let's just create a plan. Let's write down a plan and start working towards it. Because when you do that, you don't need the confidence. You just need to take that action to get to where you want to be, even if it's baby steps.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the confidence comes with the process anyway. Like, I think, like, I'm a big believer that unless we confront what we need to confront, and if we keep backing away, there is no growth. The growth doesn't come from not confronting that fear. Like, we have to break through. There has to be an element, doesn't it? You know, it's like the old first day in the job scenario or first day of school. You gotta, as soon as you get in there, you're like, well, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. All right, so let's have a look here. So Steve Enwood, please can you recommend any free online courses as a starting point for learning about setting up a business? So when I went into business, I went full-time in July 2013. I spent 6 hours a day on YouTube watching people. Like, there is an abundance of material on YouTube free, and that's how I learned how to run a business. And then I hired my first coach, a mentor, in 2014. Couldn't afford it, but he changed my life. Ricky Knight, he was good friends with him now. I'm in business with him now. And then went on my own, learned a little bit more, then hired another coach, and have had the same coach for the last 4 years, which is how me and Pam met. So I think in terms of free online courses, YouTube is your best mate. Like, it is abundance. Have you got anything else that you would add there, Pam?
No, I think YouTube is the one, and just even searching like how to set up a business. You know, what's the first thing you need to do to set up a business? And I mean, for me, for my business, marketing has been key. Like, if you nail the marketing, you know, you can sort everything else out. Nail the marketing and find a good accountant, and that's all you need.
100%. Russell says, thank you. Let's see if there's any more questions. Ross, I know, oh my God, my little one's just woken up. I can't believe it. I know networking would enhance my profile and could lead to opportunities, but historically, I've not been great at it. Probably a confidence issue. Any tips?
Yeah, so that's a good one. And this is another thing as well, because people hate networking, and, you know, people really struggle with networking because it's making small talk, and usually find lots of people who really dislike networking are introverted, and they find it really difficult, and it's just horrible. But the thing with networking is, you know, you just need to start doing it. So if you look around for different groups, like, there's so many online now, so many different networking groups. And if you find one where, you know, you can just go and do like a 60-second pitch about who you are, what you do, and all the rest of it. And, you know, if you find one with a really good leader, and you tell them that, you know, you're a bit nervous and, you know, you don't know anybody there, then they will introduce you to people. And, you know, just lean on people that are already networking and speak to the leaders of the groups, because they will always help you. You know, they'll introduce you to people. If you get, some of the networking groups will have a list of people that attended, and then you can contact them, you can connect with them on LinkedIn, you can start, you know, having conversations with them, especially if you do, you know, the virtual ones, because they're a lot less pressure. Then you can connect with the people on LinkedIn, you can start having conversations. You can guarantee most of the people on the networking circuit network at all different events, find out where they're going, join them, they'll introduce you to more people. You've just got to take the action and just get stuck in, throw yourself in at the deep end. It's almost like, you know, rip that plaster off. Like, you've got to just, you can think about it forever, but you just got to get stuck in. And the more you do it, the more you'll get better at it. And I suppose, what's that saying? Don't practice till you get it right, practice till you can't get it wrong, or something like that. And it's just, you know, you just got to get yourself stuck in and do it.
I think it's like anything as well, Ross. Like, like if we base our actions based on our past and what we actually think, you might be really good at networking, but you just might think you're really awful, right? Like, most of the time we think that we're awful at things, right? You know, I think I'm awful at this, or I'm awful at that, and then people turn around and say to you, "You're really good at that. You're really good at that." But we're our own worst critic, and when we self-critique ourselves, we do it times 10. So, you know, don't beat yourself up in that respect. The confidence comes through process. It's like when we learn to ride a bike or get in a car. When you first got in a car ever, you look at all of the buttons, the pedals, the steering wheel, the gear stick, and you're like, I am never going to be able to drive a car, right? And then maybe a year later, you get in a car and you don't even think about it, and you drive and it's automated, right? So I think with networking, like with anything that you do in life, it is about repetition, reps. Okay, and get used to losing, like, all the time, to get better. Like, the more you lose, the more you do, the more experienced you become, the more comfortable you become. Scott says, thank you. You're more than welcome. Simon says, hey there, watching JB and all. The financial situation is the main reason why I've not approached this situation, as I know companies are struggling. So that was from Scott, who was asking about the promotion. And I it might be a timing thing, but you know, you might be able to advise better here, Pam. But I always feel that if there's an asset in your business, are they prepared to, you know, invest in that now, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one way to look at it, but there's so many companies out there right now that are completely recession proof. So if you're looking at, like, you know, there's so many different industries as well. So don't just think, you know, it's not safe. Look for the companies that are safe. Look for the companies that are thriving in this economic situation. And, you know, you don't have to wait until they advertise jobs on their job board. You can approach them directly, you know, get your CV and your cover letter set up, tell them, you know, what you can bring to their organization. You know, don't just create something that's boring and bland. Let them know that, you know, this is what you can deliver. This is why they should have an initial conversation with you. And then, you know, so don't be worrying about, you know, when you go on job boards, you get a whole mix of jobs and you never really know, is this company safe? But, you know, you can go on Companies House, you can check their accounts. You know, there's loads of different ways that you can say, you know, has a company, you know, got 5 minutes left, or actually if they got loads of cash in the bank and, you know, they're a safe option. So, you know, if you look at, you know, hospitality has really struggled over the last year or two, for example, but like companies like Deliveroo, they're like absolutely coining it in, you know, they're doing really well. So, you know, you can, you know, you just need to look at in the right places, and then you need to do your research around them to find out, are they recession proof? Because we're not going to be in this situation forever, but who's thriving right now? Because they're the companies you want to be working for.
100%. I love it. Great advice. So Simon has asked, well done, Robert, on losing 5 stone. Amazing. So we've got Simon, question. So as the job scenario is so volatile, at present, with all the increase in fuel and energy? Is it a good idea to change jobs, or should we be grateful that we have a job? Because I worked for a well-known builder's merchant for 20 years, gave them everything, including missing out on my kids growing up, only to be made redundant in a heartbeat. Is it a good idea to change? And so I just want to put my 2 cents on this here.
Yeah.
This is not so much about career, but this is why obligations to what you think is a priority is absolutely key. So you can be an outstanding career guy. You can be outstanding at your job. You can be an unbelievable businessman. You can thrive in that career and you can be top dog, right? But as soon as it starts impacting on your life, for me, that's when you've lost, and actually you are not good at your career and you are not a top businessman, because you are now sacrificing the most important thing in your life. And I watch guys who bring up their kids by looking at by talking to their kids on WhatsApp, FaceTime. Your kid is never going to be 6 again. They're never going to be 4 again. They're never going to be 8 again. And if you are spending time on the road, or you're going out and doing things, and I mean consistently, like there is the odd time here or there where we have to go on a work trip, maybe for a week, or we do have a project that needs pushing through for a week. But if you are doing it 24/7, 365, you need to stop and ask yourself, is this sustainable? Am I willing to risk the connection with my kids, my wife, for this career and this job where you could be let go at any point? Any point. Doesn't matter if you've done 20 years or 30 years. And I feel really passionate about that. That's something I feel massively passionate about, because if you lost everything, if you lost all your job and all the money you earned for, and you were left with your family, would you be happy? 110% you would. If you lost all of your family and all of your kids and was only left with your job, would you be happy? No, you wouldn't. Okay, that's my point. Pam.
That's a perfect point.
Have you got anything to add on that?
I think, it's people always think, is it the right time to move? Is it the right time to make a change? And that is just the fear of the unknown kicking in, because, you could get just made redundant tomorrow, and it's never personal. And, you'll see loads of people saying, how can you make sure that you don't get made redundant? You need to now start working like 20 hours a day. You need to be first at the office. You need to be last to leave. Like, I've seen so many people over the years be made redundant. I've been in situations where I've had to make people redundant as well. And honestly, their personal attributes never really come into it at all. It's usually an org chart with no names on, and you're literally just crossing out positions that you can get rid of that are going to save the company money. Most companies will end up re-recruiting for them roles. It's never personal. It's always done in a way where, it's almost anonymous, and people get really hung up on, I give everything and then they made me redundant. But actually, it's, they will know that you've given everything, but they still won't be able to keep you in most occasions. So you do have to weigh it up. Am I going to give them everything, or actually am I going to enjoy my life, and am I going to make decisions that make me happier? And that's what it comes down to.
Be good at your job without sacrificing your life, basically. This isn't bringing her up. Where's good to have you? Definitely a bit of an introvert, definitely a self-critique. Thanks both. Anytime. Ross, what sticks with me is a lot of what JB said. How you do anything is how you do everything. So let's learn from the best and test. Love it. Thanks to main coach and Jody's. Thanks, great advice. Thank you for the advice. Both being only one working, how do you look at a possible? Okay, so Simon Stilwell, how you doing, my man? Good to see you. With being only the only one working, how do you look at a possible business opportunity? I guess if you're the only one that can work.
So, I mean, I don't know how you started your business, but my business started as a side hustle that I did, alongside my job. And you know what, for a couple of years, it was tough. But I knew what I wanted to get to. So it wasn't like I was going to be doing that for the next 20 years. I knew it was a matter of time to build it up. So, you know, I'd say get stuck in, get it started. There's so much you can do now online. It's easier now to set up, you know, a side hustle than it's ever been.
100%. Yeah, I was the same. So I left the military, and I took a £16,000 a year pay cut, which left me financially broke. Like we were in a really bad position. So I did part-time PT at the side, and then that side hustle became my main job. So then I run my boot camp, and then and then it was the dad coach back then. So the dad coach was my side hustle. And then I closed down we got rid of my boot camp, and then the man coach become my main business, and it just evolved, right? It just evolves. Okay, so I think we've got loads here, right? So I think we've offered, hopefully guys, you've got massive value. If you come see us up in Birmingham on the 26th, it'd be great to see Pam going into more detail on this and having conversations. Should be part of our VIP chat as well. Pam, where can people find you if they want to follow you and get more info from you on your courses and other bits and pieces for people that can't make it with us?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is always a good place. I'm on LinkedIn, hanging out on LinkedIn every day. If you put Pamela Langan or Queen of Careers into Google, you will get my website and all of the other various social media that comes up. You can pretty much just put Pamela Langan, Queen of Careers in to anywhere and you will find me. So, or you can just go to pamelalangan.com and
Queen of Careers, that's such a catchy name.
Yeah, that's me.
Brilliant. All right, guys, thank you very much for being on. Pam, thanks for being on. Let me end this right now. Bang, bang.